Kamani Vidal or Hassan Haskins? Which one should you play? I don't know. We'll discuss after this. Welcome on into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Furley, and I'd like to thank all of you, or any of you who may be watching or listening to today's show. It is Monday, October 13th. This is episode 176, and we're about to have our Week 6 2-point conversation. And it's my great pleasure to welcome back into the bar Mr. Bernie, a.k.a. Team B.
I'm Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
How are you doing today, Bernie?
Yeah, I'm doing all right today. It's a pretty good Sunday. How about you?
I'm optimistically cautious that I actually might get a victory, so I'm feeling pretty as good as I could be, honestly.
Oh, wow. Are you playing somebody that is 0-5?
No, 1-4, but but I'm the same. So anyway, all right, we've got a jam-packed show, so let's get right into it. On this show, we're going to start off with some player news. We're going to go through those studs and duds for week number 6. We're also going to settle into a nice week 6 2-point conversation where we go through all of the week 6 action up to this point, and and then we will go through some early waiver wire targets. But before we do any of that, I want to make sure that everybody is in the room. Wingmen assemble! All right, Bernie, let's get into some news and notes. All right, starting off with some players who got put on the IR going into late into the week here. We had Miles Sanders was placed on the season-ending IR with a knee injury, making way for Jadon Blue to, I guess, play. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Antonio Gibson, backup running back for New England, was placed on season-ending IR, opening some chances for Travion Henderson to maybe play. I don't know. We'll see. This one's a little bigger, actually. A starting running back was out on IR this time. Amarian Hampton was placed on IR with an ankle injury. He's going to miss at least 3 more games, as he already did miss today. There is not too much clarity on the severity of his injury, except that we know that it is not a season-ending injury at this point. Let's start with these guys who came into this week, placed on the IR during the middle of the week. What do you have on these 3 running backs?
All right, here. Who are we starting with here? Miles Sanders? Oh, boy. Who does he play for? Dallas? Oh, my gosh. Jadon Blue takes over as the RB2 role. But like you said, we'll see what happens there. He has rare explosiveness per the Dallas Brass. So let's does that make him a waiver priority? I don't know. We'll discuss that later. Antonio Gibson. Maybe just drop immediately. Yep. I think that Ramondre Stevens and Travion Henderson are going to absorb the 3-way committee touches here. I still don't know why Ramondre Stevens keeps getting the ball, keeps putting it on the ground. Travion Henderson should emerge, so hopefully that happens. And Amarian Hampton. Again, do you want to stash him for later? Yeah, I think so. I think that somebody in our league made the right decision. They still might have paid too much, but made the right decision for his backup.
All right, moving on to players who were in the line. Well, who had a declarations made today, earlier on Sunday, rather. We had Garrett Wilson on the early game, suffered a hip injury. Later, it was declared to be a knee injury, so we're not entirely sure here. He is going to have an MRI on the knee. We did notice that in that fourth quarter, he was kind of in and out of the lineup, being very showing much discomfort after every single route as he was dropping the ball on his in cuts there. So we also had Chuba Hubbard for the second straight week wasn't active, making way for Rico Dowdle. Let's just do this. We're going to do this multiple times. He deserves it.
Suavemente. Rico. Suave.
Rico Dowdle made his second consecutive start. Could he match the output he had last week against the Dolphins? We will see. And when we go through the studs and duds. All right, Lamar Jackson also missed week 6, making way for Cooper Rush to start the game. However, Cooper Rush did not finish the game. Good news here for Lamar Jackson is he's expected to return to the lineup after the week 7 bye for the Baltimore Ravens. So in week 8, he should return. We'll do one more here. CeeDee Lamb also missed his 3rd consecutive game as he's dealing with that ankle sprain. All right, we had Garrett Wilson get banged up during the game, and these other 3 players missed due to being inactive for their games. Chuba Hubbard, Jackson, and Lamb all missed due to being inactive.
Yeah. So Garrett Wilson, the Jets offense is already the NFL worst. They're netting 10 passing yards for week 6 here. So Adrian Smith or Arian Smith and Josh Reynolds. I don't think anybody's worried about that. So sorry, Jets. Chuba Hubbard, like you said, Rico Dowdle is the one that's coming back here real fast. He might be creating the committee upon Hubbard's return. Lamar Jackson, who did we have coming for Lamar? Cooper Rush, and probably going to struggle a little bit, even though Zay Flowers did show a little something, but he also had a bunch of errors, so I didn't like that at all. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens is thriving. Who else are we going to pick up on that? Maybe there's somebody in the waiver there, but CD should be back. 2 weeks probably, maybe 3. We'll see how that goes. Who are we stopping? We're stopping with there, right? Yep.
Yeah, we stopped right there.
Okay.
All right. So moving along here, we had Kyler Murray wasn't active today. He was a little questionable all week long. We saw that foot injury as he dealt with him last week. So Jacoby Brissett did make the start for the Arizona Cardinals and actually had a pretty decent day in comeback mode here for the Cardinals against the Indianapolis Colts. Puka Nacua, this one was tough, left the game late in the first half with a foot injury on a contested catch attempt in the end zone. He was really working that foot out, stretching on the sideline there and jogging it out. He was able to return later in the second half, however, did not record another catch when he did return to the game there. Staying in that same game, with the Rams, Blake Corum also left early with an ankle injury. However, he did make it back onto the field and return to the game. And let's finish off with these two Cardinals here. Amari DiMercado was not able to finish the game as he suffered an ankle injury. And Marvin Harrison Jr. was knocked out of the game with a concussion on a really great reception. But as he went to the ground, the back of his head slammed to the turf. He looked more frustrated than woozy. Obviously, the doctors are going to make the best decision there. But he looked like he really wanted to get back in or was just frustrated with the circumstances. All right, so we had Jacoby Brissett make the start. Puka Nacua left, came back. Blake Corum left, came back. The Cardinals were not able to return.
So Brissett, the Arizona run game is just going to struggle without Murray. But Brissett is likely going to be a multi-game starter, so keep an eye on that. Puka Nacua, if Puka sits any more time, if this is something that's going to be lingering throughout the week for practice, Devontae Adams becomes the number one. Tutu Atwell was already out with a hamstring, I believe. So let's see, keep an eye on that. More things might be going Devontae's way. And then Blake Corum, Kyron is going to be Kyron, but who's going to take over that second role if Corum isn't going to do the stuff, the backup duties? So there more stuff on the waiver wire for that. DiMercado, what do I have here?
Well, he took a back seat, I would say, in this game. They said Bam Knight, right? That's the player there, that he was going to get more of a workload. They did kind of split the carries, although I thought Carter got more work than they seemed to indicate in the pregame news there. But Bam Knight did get in the end zone as they were kind of splitting. And DiMercado was already relinquished to that third down role, even less so than he normally was. But the injury obviously took him out of the game and left those two running backs to the backfield by themselves.
Exactly. So, yeah, Bam Knight. But Carter did lead a little bit there. And then Marvin Harrison Jr., I did see that, and that looked pretty rough. Zay Jones and Michael Wilson should absorb some of the targets if it's an extended timeout for him. But remember, Brissett's going to be the one throwing the ball there.
I will say, I want to say Brissett is better than Murray, obviously not, but Murray's frantically running around back there trying to find visual lanes maybe. I feel like early in the game there, Brissett had some calmer, easier routes for Marvin Harrison. He had a couple of decent catches because he left early enough in the game. He had a couple, 15 to 18-yard catches on just easy square ins, nothing too fancy, which I think we're starting to realize that Marvin Harrison he's a big body. He's not a fancy guy. He's not going to beat guys with tricks and speed. He's just got to break in and be a big body and seal off the defender.
Yeah, for sure. And did we get to Njoku on this one or no?
Not yet. We're going there now. All right, we had David Njoku was forced out of the lineup today with a leg injury. Then it was called a knee injury. As far as I could gather, he came back in, and I think he also left a second time. They were saying he got a knee to the thigh, but then there's other reports there. So it's a little sketchy on the severity of his injury. Just know he was in and out of the lineup. And this might affect some of our Dolphin fans out there. Matthew Stafford today passed Dan Marino on the all-time passing yards list to become the number 9th all-time leading passer in terms of yards. So Matthew Stafford is climbing up those charts here. And we'll finish off this little section here with Brock Bowers was inactive for the second straight week as he's dealing with that knee injury that's really plagued him since week 1 here. And Michael Mayer stepped up today in his absence as much as he could in that awful game for the Raiders versus the Titans. But let's just go through these three real quick. Njoku was in and out. Not sure what that means for the Browns. They're not very... we're not counting on them for offense anymore. But Matthew Stafford, a big milestone, and Brock Bowers once again is out, and really no sign of his imminent return.
Yeah, Njoku, he didn't look great. I watched a little bit of this game as well. He just didn't have he didn't have the chemistry yet that he's trying to establish. So we'll see how him and Dylan Gabriel work out. He could be really good with Dylan Gabriel, but they just don't have that chemistry yet. I'm sorry, Matthew Stafford. Bravo, Matthew Stafford. Bravo. We all knew you were good. I'd like to look at the timeline on how long these things happened, because sometimes it happens a lot quicker than other players. I mean, if you play long enough, you can beat everybody's record, LeBron James. So good job there. Hopefully Puka can get back in the game full time and help Stafford continue to thrive. And then, yeah, Michael Meyer, like nothing's going on there. Nobody's got Michael Meyer on their team. Who's the other guy? Albert. I can't even say this name, Mike. Aquia-Bunam?
Alberto. Just Alberto.
Alberto. Alberto, he's going to intrude there. So if you're playing tight end league, stay away from Las Vegas for now.
In terms of, you mentioned longevity, I'm not sure where he settled in, but Frank Gore was somewhere in the top between 2 and 5 in total rushing yards by the end of his career there. And he was if he would have stayed on 1 or 2 more years, because once you get to a certain point, you're not that far apart kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he was like I said, he could have passed 1 or 2 more guys if he would have been able to play 1 or 2 more years. So like you said, but this is Matthew Stafford's had some prolific years, not like Gore, who had a long, steady career. Matthew Stafford's was more up and down, had some big time. He supported Calvin Johnson's record-breaking 2,000-yard season, and also Cooper Kupp's most yards and/or catches, whatever it was. So he's supported some big-time receivers along the way.
And now he's got Nakua, who might be the best receiver in the NFL as of now.
Yep. All right, let's get on to our game here with the teams that have the same color uniforms as you say. Sorry about that. The San Francisco 49ers and the Tampa Bay Bucks. Excuse me, I have a little brain fart here. Mike Evans was inactive once again, missing his 3rd consecutive game. And Chris Godwin, who was coming back from that big injury from last year, was ramping up at a good pace, getting on the field. But I don't honestly know if it's a setback from the same injury or just if he's kind of been banged up in a different way. But either way, his practices have been going backwards, and he missed this game, his first miss since returning to action from the PUP list here, or not the PUP list. He was never on that list, but since missing those first 3 games of the year. Ricky Pearsall was also inactive with that knee injury, missing his 2nd consecutive game. Let's just stop there real quick. We got Godwin, Evans, and Pearsall were all out, and these guys, they need these receivers. They have a lot of banged up receivers on these teams.
Yeah, you're going to hold Mike Evans at least through the Week 9 bye. Don't do anything drastic there. We'll get to the rest of the injury impacts here for this. It's almost like the 2 teams, they were on the field at the same time, and it was like contagious. Everybody just wanted to be hurt. Chris Godwin, I would also hold cautiously. So he's got the ability. I wouldn't drop him right now. And then Ricky Pearsall, I would bench until he's healthy. Kendrick Bourne seems to be the guy as long as Mac Jones stays in.
Yeah. I forgot to mention Brock Purdy did miss today and put in the notes. So Mac Jones to get his 3rd consecutive start and his 4th start of the season while we're there, those teams that were out. Moving on, Joe Flacco got traded to Cincinnati Bengals and made the start this week in a tough matchup in Lambeau against the Packers. Going back a little bit to that San Francisco Tampa game. Juwan Jennings was active, although he has indicated after the game that he's playing through broken ribs. He says 5 of them. I don't know how many you have. That seems like all of them to me. And Emeka Ibuka did not finish week 6 as he was forced out with a hamstring injury. Now we're going to have to wait and see on the severity of this injury and how much time he may miss. He was on the sideline, didn't look too uncomfortable just standing there, but standing there and running NFL routes are 2 different things. All right, let's just do a quick threesome here with Joe Flacco getting on the field. Didn't play well until the 4th quarter when they got a lot of yards and scored some points late, but the Jennings and Mbuka, one got in back on the field and one left.
Yeah, Joe Flacco, and I watched some of this game because I just wanted to see what Joe Flacco could do, and it was good. I mean, he was slowly starting to get comfortable. Higgins got a little sprinklings of some catches in there. Jamar Chase had some pretty big catches as well. And the defense just couldn't keep them out of field goal range at the end. So I think Joe's going to be fine there. I think next game, I think we could see some fantasy impact increasing all throughout the Bengals offense.
I will say while we're sitting on Joe real quick, I guess we'd save the conversation, but I've already stopped you. So I had the Green Bay defense. I was expecting a slaughter, at least 2 picks. What he's been doing with the Browns, a bunch of sacks or at least a couple. And I will say he was playing Tua-like today, and that's not necessarily a good thing. They obviously didn't have a great day, but he was just getting the ball out so fast. They were not getting to him, even though there was good pass rush. They were not ever close enough to him by the time he released the ball. He was throwing the ball very early before the receivers even broke. And with those good receivers who can fight for a contested ball, that's going to work out decently well once they get a little bit better rhythm.
Yeah, for sure. And Juwan Jennings, this is one of those things where we need Kendrick Bourne to be on the field once George Kittle comes back. Juwan Jennings is just too embattled right now. And then Ibuka, same thing. It's kind of like we're really worried about what's going to happen here. Hopefully he gets, I know he's not a veteran, but hopefully he gets the veteran rest days that he's just so well deserves. Sterling Shepard and Tez Johnson, though, they're going to step into a little bit larger role with Evans and Godwin out as well.
Yeah, I think the fantasy community is going to be on pins and needles on that first Wednesday major report here, or if there's an MRI report out coming on a Tuesday or something like that, because he's younger than Mike Evans, for example, but these hamstring injuries usually keep guys out at least a couple weeks. Like I said, it's either 0 weeks or 3 weeks kind of thing, or something like that.
Yeah, but we're going to have a whole 2 sections dedicated to San Fran and Tampa Bay now.
Yeah, right. All right, moving along here. I guess I didn't realize there was only 2 left. We have Calvin Ridley left week 6 contest early with a hamstring injury. He couldn't even walk on the sideline, they were saying, or however they described it. It seemed to be, by the way he was reacting, kind of severe. Of course, MRI and tests will dictate that. And Dontavian Wicks left Sunday's game with an ankle injury. I didn't see if he returned, with Christian Watson being inactive, not inactive, but he wasn't officially activated from the PUP list here. Again, another receiver out with who was the first one that went out? Jaden Reed. And now Dontavian Wicks. We had Matthew Golden step up a little bit today, but there's that big 5 receiver room that was kind of all equal is now going to be down to 2.5, 2 or 3, and Christian Watson might step into a role if Wicks misses any time going forward.
Yeah, for sure. With Calvin Ridley, we have the rookie. I mean, he's going to be week to week now at this point, which he already is week to week in our opinion. Roller coaster. But Alec Aominer and Chig Okonkwo, man, 2 difficult names there. They're going to benefit from his absence. And then for Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs is going to see, and Matthew Golden, but Matthew Golden has already seen it up, but Romeo Doubs should see more for next game coming his way.
All right, we'll talk about it later, but Matthew Golden had an awesome day, especially in that second half to seal the victory here as the Browns were making, the Bengals were making a move there at the end. All right, guys, it is now time to take a look at our studs and duds for week number 6.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Wingman Fantasy Football, studs and duds.
All right, guys, unfortunately, this week is more duds than studs. But Bernie, why don't you start us off with our studs for the week?
All right. Looks like New England has a new quarterback. Yes, Drake May, 27.24 points, 261 passing yards, 28 rushing yards, and 3 passing touchdowns. And our man, Daniel Jones.
Hey, lady, you call him Dr. Jones.
Oh, Dr. Jones was operating 24.48 points, 212 passing yards, 20 rushing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. And you know you like to watch him run, Mikey. 1 rushing touchdown. Kayshawn Booty, oh man, up there with Drake May in the top 3 spot. 23.8 fantasy points, 93 receiving yards, 5 receptions, and 2 touchdowns. And
Kayshawn.
well, we might as well get one for Daniel Jones's best bud here, Jonathan Taylor. Does he have a drop yet? I don't think so, but that's okay. It's coming. 21.7 points for Jonathan Taylor, 137 total yards, picks up 4 receptions and 1 touchdown.
Yeah, he was a big factor in that. That was a close game. They needed his big runs at the end to seal that victory. Good job handling that with me doing the drops there for you. I know it was like kind of throwing a match. I was a little nervous. Good job.
You're good.
All right, moving along. Oh, I love to see this guy on this list. This guy makes me so happy. Dallas Goedert at 21.5 points, had 110 receiving yards, 9 receptions, and a touchdown. This guy is clearly the best receiving option on the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, and someone made a right decision this time. I was sweating it all day, but it came through this time at least. Kamani Vidal-Sassoon at 21.3 points, 138 total yards, 3 receptions, and 1 touchdown. Can we play the Dolphins every week? And Christian McCaffrey finally got in the end zone on a rushing touchdown. He had 20.6 points on 111 total yards. Still had those 7 catches, and like I said, he got in the end zone on the ground. And Jamar Chase in fourth quarter, garbage time. I mean, they kind of made it within one score with 10 seconds left, but it was.
Don't call it garbage time. Don't call it garbage
all
time.
All right. To each their own here, but he got a lot of yards in the second half, however you want to classify it. 20.4 points for Jamar Chase on 94 receiving yards, 10 receptions, and he got in the end zone as well.
Yes. All right. And this guy putting the dagger through the Dolphins. Ladd McConkey, 19.5 points for Ladd, 100 receiving yards, 7 receptions, and 1 touchdown. And Brian Thomas, 19 fantasy points, 90 receiving yards, 8 receptions, and 1 touchdown. DK Metcalf in a different uniform, but on the stud list like he should be, 17.5 fantasy points, 95 receiving yards on 4 receptions and 1 touchdown. And Wan'Dale Robinson, the New York Football Giants, 17.4 fantasy points, 84 receiving yards, 6 receptions, and 1 touchdown for Wan'Dale.
And this guy, I thought I saw him catch 2 touchdowns. I guess I was wrong. There might have been a penalty, but we had Trey McBride of Frankenstein.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Trey McBride had 17.2 points on 72 receiving yards, 8 receptions, and only 1 touchdown. I swear I thought I saw him get 2 or more. Chris Boswell, thank you, Bernie, for letting him hit the waiver wire. Needed finally some help in the special teams here. Chris Boswell had 16.2 points with 3 field goals, 2 extra points, and 1 kick longer than 50 yards. And he would have had another one, but the field literally gave out under his. He stepped in it, and it was ankle deep into the dirt. Ryan Fitzgerald, rookie kicker for the Carolina Panthers. He's been on this list more than once, guys, at 14.9 points, 3 field goals, 3 extra points, and he had a long field goal over 50 yards as well. Nick Folk at 13.1 points, should have had more opportunities. We'll talk about that game. He had 13.1 points with 3 field goals, and that's it. But one of them was a long over 50. And the LA Rams defense came in at 12 points, 4 sacks, 1 interception, 2 fumble recoveries, and 4 fourth down stops, and they only allowed 3 points against the Baltimore Ravens. All right, guys, for every yin, there's a yang. For every stud, there's 2 duds in this week. All right, it's time to get in this week's duds, rather. Bernie, can you start us off with the duds for week number 6?
Yeah, and this guy shouldn't be on the list, but sometimes you just got to take a list. Matthew Stafford, 11.34 points. Spencer Rattler, I guess because Taysom Hill's back, that Spencer thought he could take a break. He only got 11.08 points. Geno Smith,
every week.
Yeah, the defense has got them. He is in some sort of slump. 10.96 fantasy points there. And then Dylan Gabriel, nothing that we wouldn't expect. Sometimes you're going to be bad when you're a rookie. 8.84 fantasy points.
I will say for Matthew Stafford, the weather was bad. They were up by a lot all game, and there was no pressure from the other team to get anything going on there. And Puka Nacua being out, they just kind of managed the game. And Spencer Rattler actually had his career high in passing yards, but that's all they did was passing yards. There was no touchdowns for Rattler today. All right, moving along here. This one hurt. Got a ton of carries. Like to see that, but this was a dumpster fire of a game early in the morning. I hate these early morning games, and they always disappoint. Breece Hall had 5.9 points. Jacoby Myers for the 5th straight week can't crack 6 points at 5.9. Devontae Adams, part of that Matthew Stafford game here, they didn't need to pass that much at all, rather, 5.9 points as well. And Javonte Williams in a shootout, surprisingly, wasn't too involved at 5.9 points.
Yeah, I don't really like the Dallas Cowboys anymore. Tony Pollard is next up on this list. He used to play for Dallas, didn't he? 5.7 points for Tony Pollard. Justin Fields, this whole list could be made up of Jets offense, 4.9 points. I don't even know who this guy is. Ryan Flournoy?
Flournoy, that's the young guy from Dallas. We thought he was taking over instead of Jalen Tolbert, potentially.
Gotcha. Yeah, 4.8 points for that guy. Rashid Shaheed, 4.8 points for Rashid. He needed that touchdown and couldn't get it.
All right, moving along here, we have Keenan Allen. Only had 4.7 points, but he had some big third down catches late in that game that really helped the Chargers take this one down from the Dolphins here. So it didn't have a lot of points, but in terms of NFL, his catches were huge. Mark Andrews, I think it's time to let this guy go. There's no reason to keep him. But anyway, Mark Andrews had 4.6 points. RJ Harvey had only 4.5. Must have been that J.K. Dobbins must have been higher. We'll see. Stephon Diggs only had 4.3 after his big breakout last week. All right, who else we got?
David Njoku, we talked about him already, 4.3 points. Marvin Harrison Jr., you get knocked out of the game, you're not going to get any more points, 4.2 points. Kenneth Walker, unbelievable. At least you didn't score more than Zach Charbonnet, who's right behind you. Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, major disappointment in fantasy football. The Seattle still won, but they both got 4.2 points. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, Hunter Henry also had 4.2 points. With the absence of Antonio Gibson, you thought Travion Henderson might step up a little bit more, but no, he can't do anything. He's still at only 4.1 points. Most of that came on a desperate lateral type of pass that Drake May threw while he was getting taken down. J.K. Dobbins was actually worse than R.J. Harvey, although he had all of the work. He just had nothing in the passing game, 4.1 points. Again, most of these guys are Jets and Broncos, as that game was awful. And Marvin Mims, also a Bronco on this list at 4 point even.
Yeah, it was a bad game. All right, Puka Nacua, yeah, obviously we talked about him, got a little banged up. It's okay, Puka, you can have a down game. 3.8 fantasy points. Quinshon Judkins, Lion Eyes really need you to step up, but you didn't. 3.6 points because you play for a bad team. Travis Hunter had a costly offsides lining up in the neutral zone mistake. 3.5 points for Travis Hunter. Egbuka, obviously we know what's going on there. 3.4 points for Egbuka. And DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, Snoop Huntley came in and Hopkins got a pass thrown to him. 3 fantasy points.
All right, Michael Pittman's actually been had some decent weeks this week, so this is not always on this list here, but at 3 points for Michael Pittman Jr., he is a dud. Cooper Rush did get benched for Snoop Huntley. He played most of the game, though, right? It was at least 3.5 quarters, or at least 3 quarters, I thought. Only 2.88 points for Cooper Rush. He can't do it, obviously. Garrett Wilson, also in another Jet in that dumpster fire at 2.8. Mm-hmm. I feel bad putting this guy on here, but there was news reports. We didn't know how this was going to go, but Hassan Haskins at 2.8 points. We had Vidal as a stud and Haskins as a dud. Who else was a dud this week? We had a lot of duds, guys.
Yeah. Juwan Johnson was a dud this week. 2.5 points. Again, when your quarterback can't get you the ball in the end zone, it's going to be hard. Calvin Ridley, 2.3 points. Cortland Sutton, 2.2 points. Denver at the Jets. Xavier, is it Liggett or Leggett? I don't know. 2.1 points. And Ramondre Stevenson. Did he fumble today? I don't know. 1.8 points.
We have 2 running backs for the, like I said, with Antonio Gibson out, you think these 2 guys would have more of a pie to share with less people, and they still were both duds. All right, tackle worthy. Tackle him. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry. Moving along here. We had Juwan Jennings with his 5 broken ribs, had 1.2 points. And the Green Bay defense with a stellar matchup with a statue old man in the backfield could only get 1 sack. This is like their third game with only 1 point. I don't know what to do, guys. I keep playing them, and they're giving me nothing. San Francisco defense for like the third or fourth straight weeks on this dud list at 1 point. Jacksonville defense only had 1 point. And I was a little reluctant to put this guy on the list, but he is a top waiver wire pickup, potentially. Mason Taylor for the Jets, another Jet, had a virtual goose at 0.7 points.
No, another virtual goose here. Amara DiMercado. I don't know why we keep talking about you. Your name comes up sometimes in waiver stuff and backup. Like, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
0.1 point. Jade on Blue.
We'll get 1 goose for all these guys, so we have a bunch of gooses to finish out the
all right.
list
So
here.
the next 4, they're all going to be zeros. Jade on Blue, Cam Little, Carolina defense, and Cleveland defense. All gooses.
That's crazy. Jade, I think you mentioned it kind of in passing there. They were talking up Jadon Blue as like a real opportunity for him to maybe take over the backfield. This guy, I don't know if he stinks. He had 0 points. I'm like, did he even play? I know there's no one else there. He did have 3 carries for 0 yards.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of this depressing stuff here. Let's get into some of our mecha studs for week number 6 here.
Mega Studs.
All right, guys, we're going to play from some sounds for this guy as often as possible because we don't know how long this is going to last. But for the second straight week, Rico Dowdle is the highest scoring player in all of fantasy, and he had nearly the identical fantasy stat line as last week. Rico Dowdle.
Suavemente rico.
It took me 4 hours to make that 8-second clip. All right, guys. All right, Rico Dowdle had 31.9 points. I just want to verify this. Last week, he had 234 total yards and 3 catches and a touchdown. This week, he had 239 total yards and 4 receptions. He had 5 more yards on 1 more catch and got in the end zone again. Very consistent. This is crazy. On Thursday night, the whole world woke up if they weren't already aware of the caveman Wolverine here, Cam Scataboo.
I'm a scat man.
I know Bernie is quite aware of this. He's a fan and had to be in the other end of this fantasy matchup. 30 points even for the Scat Man. 110 total yards, 2 receptions, 3 touchdowns, and 1 dangerous backflip. Also, Josh Jacobs is a stud as well at 29.5 points, 150 total yards, 5 catches, and he got 2 touchdowns to seal the deal today. Devon, the man, Achan, 29 points, the main thing going for the Dolphins today, 150 total yards himself on 4 catches and got in the end zone twice. And your man, Bernie, I'm sorry, George Pickens, I think he's going to hold on even when CeeDee Lamb comes back. He is electric. He's been playing great, a great rhythm and trust with Dak Prescott. 27.3 points for George Pickens, and he hurled his way to 168 receiving yards on 9 catches, and he got in the end zone once.
Yes. Good job. I'll give credit where credit is due. All right, next up on this list, we have Mr. JSN. He said, I don't need to run slot. I can run it on the outside. I don't need DK to run any sort of smoke screen for me. I can take care of this myself. 26.2 points for JSN, 162 receiving yards, 8 receptions, and 1 touchdown. And now a set of kickers. Okay, there's way too many kickers on the Mecha Stud list. I wonder why that is. Eddie Pinheiro, 18.7 points for Eddie, 4 field goals, 1 point after, and 2 50-plus yard field goals. Mr. Blake Grupe, 18.4 points for Blake, 4 field goals, 1 point after, and only 1 field goal, 50-plus yards. And Cam Dicker, I think he just kicked field goals all day today, Mr. Cam Dicker did. 18.3 points, 5 field goals, and 2 point afters. And then last on this list, the Denver defense. Maybe that's why the game was so boring this morning. 17.25 points for the Denver defense going up against the Jets. 9 sacks, 1 fourth down stop with only 82 yards allowed. They didn't even reach the century mark.
That's crazy. That's crazy. All right, we're going to find out where some of these studs and duds found their way into these stats here as we're going to get into this week's 2-point conversation.
Is Jack Del Rio going to go for two here,
He's
Link?
going for two.
The Raiders will go for two and the probable victory with 47 seconds left.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Wingman Fantasy Football's 2-point conversation.
And it's good! Oh my goodness!
All right, this theme for week number 6 here was more wide receiver injuries, and the backup running backs just keep getting it done for the second straight week atop of these lists here, and come up big for their managers and their teams. And I'm going to put a little side thing here since we're in the conversation portion here, Bernie. What do you think about when you're planning your matchup, and then all of a sudden your opponent's roster changes one day before Sunday?
I feel like that is a direct shot fired, and and retaliation is definitely due.
Oh no! For you guys not aware here, I made a 6-player deal, a 3-team trade that just happened to be the manager up against Bernie this week, and those guys did decent, but more so than them being decent, she really needed help as she had 3 or 4 players out this week and literally needed bodies, and she got those bodies thanks to yours truly. I was trying to improve my team. It had nothing to do with helping her out, but yeah.
And then proceeded to drop immediately one of the 3 players that you traded for. Yeah, thanks. All right, let's start this off with Thursday's game. We went through Thursday's game already, but we're just going to give you the quick rundown here. It was the Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Giants. Dart and Scatterboo delivered decisive primetime statement. Giants 34, Eagles 17. The rookie quarterback Jackson Dart threw for 195 yards with 1 passing and 1 rushing touchdown, while running back Cam Scatterboo powered through for 98 yards and 3 scores as the Giants upset the defending Super Bowl champions on Thursday Night Football. The rookies bounced back from a turnover-plagued loss to New Orleans. Dart completed 17 of 25. He added 58 rushing yards. The Giants defense pressured Jalen Hurts with 3 sacks, including 2 by Brian Burns that brought his season total to 7.
Oh, wow.
Tied for the league lead. Hurts threw his first interception of the season when Cordell Flott picked him off and returned it 68 yards in the 4th quarter. The Eagles fell to 4-2 with their 2nd consecutive loss, and the Giants improved to 2-4.
I will say there's only whatever it was, 2 or 3 sacks that you just mentioned, but it seemed like he was being hounded all day long in the offensive backfield was Jalen Hurts. The Giants came out firing. They scored in their first drive, might have been their first 2, but their first drive right away. Eagles answered back, I believe, on a gimmick to Goddard, but they just couldn't keep up for the first half. And then once they kind of had that lead going into halftime, they just went to Scatterboo the whole second half. He got most of his yards and all of his touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. At least 2 of the 3 touchdowns came in the second half as he sealed the deal. And there's discontent in Philly. I will tell you that. I've never seen a team coming off the Super Bowl starting off 4-0 with a lot of murmuring and rumblings of discontent there. We already went through this game a little bit here, so let's talk about it a lot more. No, I'm just kidding. Let's be honest here. The Giants will just kick their butts all around the field. And we have a couple of knuckleheads for the Giants with those 2 rookies. They're going to be lovable until they make too many mistakes, and they're going to be turned on so fast. But while we're at it, love those guys for the knuckleheads they are.
Yeah, I mean they're young kids, and they're putting a whooping on the champs. So yeah, good on them. They deserve all of the hype as of now. I think the biggest takeaway from this game is going to be the next game. What does Philly
stringing it together
do next week? And
Philly. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. How do they come back from that? And then can the Giants keep it going, or is it just a one-off? So it's a division game, and they were at home, so those are always a little bit different. All right,
let's get to the weekend.
Yeah, right. Moving on here, we had the game that everybody loves to wake up early for. The Denver Broncos at the New York Jets, but not really at the Jets. They were playing in London. Defensive dominance delivers Denver's desperate London victory. Broncos 13, Jets 11. The Broncos defense sacked Justin Fields 9 times and held New York to -10 net passing yards in a 13-11 victory at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Bo Nix threw a 16-yard touchdown pass to Nate Atkins in the first quarter, but Denver's offense stalled after that and managed just 71 yards in the second half. The Jets took an 11-10 lead on a safety in the third quarter when Quinn Meniers was penalized for holding in the end zone. Will Lutz kicked the go-ahead 27-yard field goal with just over 5 minutes remaining, and the defense sealed the win with a sack on fourth down. Fields completed 9 of 17 passes for 45 yards as the Jets finished with 82 total yards. Denver improved to 4-2 with its third straight win, and the winless Jets fell to 0-6.
So surprisingly enough, generally I wouldn't care about these two teams, but being that I had Breece Hall, I was rooting for the Jets in this game because I wanted them to do something. They weren't doing anything. So I was like, come on, move it. They gave the ball to Breece Hall a lot. He had his longest run was like 8 yards. He was doing okay, but there was nothing going on because there was nothing downfield at all, and the Broncos were just sending 10 guys to the line of scrimmage every single play, and the Jets were like, okay, we'll send our guy into that swarm coming. They didn't take any shots at all. They were doing awful pitches out to like 3 linebackers coming onto each side there. It was pretty bad to see. And because the Jets offense was so inept, the Broncos didn't take any chances. There were a lot of times where you would see them maybe in other games that was 3rd and 7, they might go for it. Like, we're just going to run it. They were playing to punt, knowing that with a 3-point lead, they were good. They were surprised that the Jets came back there and got that 2-point lead or whatever it was with that safety, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
But even then, they were like, they're not going to get any more points. All we need is one time. And then, so it was pretty, they were playing so vanilla were the Broncos because there was nothing to scare them. They didn't want to make mistakes. They didn't need to. They didn't have to push them at all. And at the end, man, I actually watched most of this game, at least the second half. Did you see the end of this game at all?
Not the very end, no.
So I forget how you might have the box score there, but the Broncos took the lead on the field goal after the safety took the lead for the Jets. So late fourth quarter. So the Jets have the ball. They're down by 2 points. A field goal will win it. They're moving the ball. They're getting close to field goal range as they keep throwing it to Garrett Wilson, who's obviously can't run. He's running downfield, but he can't stop and turn. Every time he stops and turns, he literally falls down as his leg gives out. And he dropped 2 or 3 on that drive, but they kept getting first downs, maybe due to penalties, not sure. But they moved the ball a little bit, and it was like third and 8, and they were like 3 yards outside of the red line for being in range for a field goal. So technically they're in field goal range, but not a comfortable field goal. You know what I mean? A 60-yarder instead of a 55. And I'm like, all right, at this point, and keep in mind, we've known this all day that literally the Jets have done nothing on offense. You cannot count on them getting a 3rd and 8 completion here. They had 80 yards. They weren't doing anything. Yeah. So in that instance, I'm like, just take the run, get your 3 yards, make your 60-yard field goal attempt a 57-yard field goal attempt. You know what I mean? And and you're either going to win or lose this on this kick. We saw Nick Folk hit a 58-yarder against the Dolphins a couple weeks ago. He's an okay kicker, not great, but not, whatever. Just get as close as you can. You're going to kick it from here, maybe 2 yards closer, maybe 3 yards closer, maybe you break a run for 9 yards. But essentially, you're playing for the field goal. Instead, they go for a 15-yard out to Garrett Wilson, who's been falling down literally 3 straight plays in a row. So now it's 4th and 8. They're still in that field goal range of that 61-yard kick. And instead of going for the kick, they go for it on 4th and 8. You haven't completed a 6-yard pass all day long. Why are you going for it? If you're going to do that, run it and then do a 4th and 6 and go for it. You know what I'm saying? If you're willing to go for it on 4th down, get yourself closer. Don't take 2 shots at something you can't do. Try and cut that distance in half. And of course, he gets sacked, as you mentioned on the last play of the game. I'm glad I'm not a Jets fan, but for that half of the game, I actually was. I wanted them to move forward. And it was, I know people are trashing on Aaron Glenn here, but that was awful. Like, awful decisions. It's one thing if your teams can't do it. But if you know they can't do it, don't do the things they can't do. Like, all right, well, we have a kicker. We can get a snap off. Let's do it for a 60-yard kick. They should have won that. They could have won that game today. They could have 3 wins this year. They could have 4 wins this year. They could have beat Pittsburgh. They could have beat Miami. They could have beat, what was the other game? Tampa Bay. They took the lead at the end. And this game, they had a chance to win. They're definitely an 0-6 caliber team, but they could have been 3-3 or 4-2 with better coaching decisions.
Yeah, for sure. The Jets are a rough thing to watch, and I don't blame anybody specifically. I think it's the whole organization is just bad, and the players there's nothing to feed off of there. So, Anything else we want to say about this?
I just can't believe how fired up I'm about this Jets loss. I can't believe how much it upset me.
About a game that nobody wanted to wake up early to watch.
It started the day off. Yeah, okay. Let's move along. Sorry.
That's all right. There was one stun on that list, though. I mean, Denver defense, so we're good. All right. Next game we have up here, Arizona Cardinals at the Indianapolis Colts. This was Taylor's timely touchdown thwarts the tenacious Cardinals comeback. Whew, that's a tongue twister there. All right. Colts 31, Cardinals 27. Daniel Jones, DJ, Dr. Jones threw 2 touchdown passes to Jonathan Taylor. Threw 2 touchdown passes, and Jonathan Taylor rushed for 123 yards with the go-ahead score from 1 yard out with 4 minutes and 32 seconds remaining, sending the Colts to a 31-27 victory over Arizona. Jones finished with 22 of 30 for 212 yards with 1 interception, which really wasn't his fault, but it kind of was, and also scored a rushing touchdown, while rookie tight end Tyler Warren caught 6 passes for 63 yards and a touchdown. Jacoby Brissett started for the injured Kyler Murray, but he only completed 27 of 44 passes for 320 yards with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, but it wasn't enough as Arizona lost its 4th consecutive game. The Cardinals drove to the Indianapolis 9-yard line with just over 1 minute remaining, but Brissett's 4th down pass to Trey McBride fell incomplete to seal the game, with a little controversy from Trey McBride saying that there was interference. Indianapolis improves to 5-1 and remained perfect at home, while Arizona fell to 2-4 after blowing a 4th quarter lead for the 2nd straight week.
So this is one of the 3 games at this 1 o'clock slot that all had games that were within 3 points at 27-24, 27-27, give or take there. And all of them went back and forth in scoring the last 5 minutes of the game there. This was we had 3 games going on at this time, and they were all like going back and forth. You didn't know what was going to happen. You mentioned that the Colts got off to I don't know what the lead was, but they were controlling the game in the first part of the game. And then, with the injury to DeMarcado, for example, I'm not saying he's a main player, and the general ineffectiveness of the running game, they just went to passing. Like you said, 44 attempts for Jacoby Brissett, and they just moved the ball enough when they needed to. And one of those things you look up, like, oh, they're down by like say 10 points, and you look up, oh, they're down 3 points. Oh, they took the lead. As there was some turnovers on both sides that kind of kept short fields here, some good returns on kicks and stuff like that. And I was surprised to see the Cardinals really battled back and took the lead late in this game in that game there. And I don't know if they would have stuck to it with someone like Murray, as Murray's kind of whether he is or not, his face looks like he's a powder. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think Jacoby Brissett doesn't have much emotion at all. So he looks the same throughout the whole game either way. And I think the team really rallied around that. Maybe it's hard to say for sure, but much credit to the Cardinals for fighting back, and then another credit for the Colts there for. They needed that touchdown and it wasn't just a touchdown. It was the big runs that whole second half for Jonathan Taylor. Not only to get the touchdown, but he got 2 big first downs to help run the clock really low, if not out there. And in my opinion, I think that was at least a defensive holding on that McBride as he came out of that break. He was really wrapped up coming out of that break. He did flail to look like a flop to try and sell it. Yeah. Maybe that's what made the ref say, no, you're selling it. But before he flopped, he was held. I don't know what would have changed if he didn't kind of flail his arms like that, but I thought he was held coming out of the break, maybe not after the ball was in the air.
Yeah. It was a tough one to watch for Arizona Cardinal fans for sure, and they did put up a fight. They're just falling a little bit short, but you lost Marvin Harrison. And then Zay Jones is, your top receiver. Obviously, Trey McBride's getting all the targets. So Zay Jones really, is he good enough to be your top guy? I don't know. I don't think so. So they really kind of need Harrison Jr. back, or they need Trey McBride to just be elite, which I don't think he is yet.
Yeah, I thought both teams were pretty clutch in that 4th quarter, except for that last failed attempt in the end. Like I said, the Cardinals got down to take it for a chance to take the lead in that last minute there, or whatever, how much time was left. But Alec Pierce had a really big, I think, 3rd down catch that really extended one of the drives, and Jonathan Taylor had big first downs to seal the deal.
Yeah, and Indianapolis is clutch, and they've been playing clutch even with their mistakes. They still seem to pull out the games because they're heads in the game. They're not worried about anything else. So,
and And they even went. I forgot. They went to their backup kicker. We forgot Schrader was out, and he had a couple big kicks as well. So, like I said, they all come together. I think they're one of those teams that everything's going the same direction, which is important in a game like football where you're counting on 11 guys on a side, 30 guys in a game. You need everyone to kind of be pulling the same way. They're the same way, and they're doing that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's Michael Badgley is the kicker. Yep. All right. Let's see what we got next up here. We have the Los Angeles Chargers at the Miami Dolphins. Dicker delivers dramatic game-winning kick for Chargers. Chargers 29, Dolphins 27. Cameron Dicker kicked 5 field goals, including a 33-yard game winner with 5 seconds remaining, as the Chargers ended a 2-game losing streak with a 29-27 victory over the Dolphins. Justin Herbert threw 2 second-half touchdown passes of 5 yards to Ladd McConkey and 7 yards to Kamani Vidal. While Herbert completed 29 of 38 passes for 264 yards, the Dolphins took a 27-26 lead with under a minute remaining before Herbert escaped a sack and connected with McConkey for a 42-yard gain that set up Dicker's game-winning field goal. Vidal rushed for a career-high 124 yards on 18 carries, while Devon Achane rushed for 2 touchdowns for Miami. Derwin James sealed the victory with an interception on the final play as Los Angeles improves to 4-2, and the Dolphins fell to 1-5.
All right, I do want to talk about this game a little bit, but why does Tua throw an interception on the last play of the game every time? I swear he doesn't want to win. He's like, if I just throw an interception, the game's over. I can just not think about it. Anyway, we'll get to that part later. So it seemed like as this game was going, the Chargers were having long, methodical drives ending in field goals, and then the Dolphins were having explosive plays, mainly by Devon Achane, where was having long runs and long receptions for touchdowns. So it was the Chargers were definitely outplaying the Dolphins, but the score was close as you were getting 2 touchdowns for 4 field goals kind of thing, heading up towards that halftime. And then finally, like, I swear, Tua does not look good. He does not look good. I'm sorry. He makes some mistakes, looks goofy. Had a couple of good random plays where he's rolling. You're like, I don't know how he got that, but they look lucky when he gets them in there. And then there were some big mistakes in terms of again, this game became close with a big touchdown towards the end there. Did Waddle get in the end zone? Who scored the touchdown later for the Dolphins?
The passing touchdown?
Before Waller. There was one before that, I thought.
Waller, it was Achane.
It was Achane again? Okay.
Yeah.
So on the drive where the Dolphins take the lead, where you said like 50 seconds left or whatever it was, they were going down the field, and you could tell that the Chargers were trying to use timeouts on defense to get the ball back because they knew they were going to score. Yeah. Essentially, they were expecting to score. If they don't, it's a bonus. But if they do, we want to make sure we have as much time as possible. And the Dolphins were moving the ball and also trying to make them use their timeouts at the same time. And I think it was Malik Washington, caught a pass and went out of bounds, sparing that one timeout for the Chargers. And that's what maybe if they would have stayed in bounds, they could have run off 30 seconds before that touchdown pass to Waller. Because the Dolphins' goal was to score a touchdown as late in the game as possible. 50 seconds is pretty late, no lie, but they wanted to get that down to 20 seconds, even lower, because they were going to lose or win on this touchdown was how they were going to play it. Getting out of bounds there was killer because, like I said, they saved a timeout for the Chargers. They did score. Was it 4th down when they scored that touchdown to Waller? I felt like they were kind of getting desperate, but maybe not.
Yeah, that I don't know. I can check that. Go ahead, though.
But nonetheless, they had a couple shots. They were inside that 10-yard line, including that one play that he went out of bounds. So it wasn't 1st or 2nd down. It was 3rd or later. But Waller got open in the back of the end zone. That was a good throw by Tua, although I thought he waited too long. Like, why are you waiting so long? And why do you look so goofy? He threw like a fadeaway pass when the guy was just sitting in the back of the end zone kind of open. I thought he was going to throw over his head, I swear to God. But Waller, your man, once again, 3rd straight game since joining the roster here, had that touchdown and a big touchdown, a go-ahead touchdown, but they left too much time for the Chargers, and the Chargers ran back that kickoff to the 40-yard line on their side of the field, meaning they only had to go 20 yards, and Ladd McConkey, Herbert looked like he was going to get sacked by Jaden Phillips, broke out of it, switched hands to maneuver the tackle, threw it over to McConkey, who too broke a tackle or did a shifty move and went down about that 19 to 20 yards to get him into easy field goal range. From there, they just ran the ball to get a little bit closer to make it more of a chip shot for Dicker to get the game-winning kick at the end of the game. A roller coaster of emotions for the Dolphins fans because it was in Miami as they took the lead late, but once again faltered down the stretch.
Yeah, and that was a 3rd down touchdown catch. Yeah, it was tough to watch because just for the simple fact that you are expecting them to either completely fail or they're going to be lights out. But to get this close in a really bad fashion, it's hard. It's like, man, did the Chargers just let you guys look good? But the Chargers didn't look that great throughout the game either, though.
Right.
There's a lot of mistakes going on on both sides. My big issue was, why does Darren Waller only have 3 targets with 2 receptions? Like, was that the game plan going in? Not to duplicate what you did in previous weeks with targeting him. So that was a big concern for me. I understand trying to get Achane the ball because he's the best player on the team. But at the risk of what, like, you probably could have had another touchdown if you would just pass the ball properly. But I guess that's what we're talking about. Tua just can't get it done for whatever reason.
I will say Waddle had a crazy day. Like he kept bobbling the ball. Sometimes he'd bobble it and become interceptions. Sometimes he'd bobble the ball and they become random catches as he's falling down the sideline. He was catching tip balls, like everything. Nothing was clean, but he had some big catches today. And
he was 6 of 8. So 95 yards. So it's not like he had a bad game. His long was 45. He was averaging 15.8 yards a reception. Like, he had a decent game, but why is Malik Washington getting 5 targets? Why is Julian Hill getting 3 targets? He caught all 3 of them, but it's just like, it doesn't make sense. You've got these playmakers, you need to be using them. I don't know.
So I will mention a couple. We'll mention a couple more things here on that last drive where Waller did catch a touchdown. We were watching, and the announcers are mentioning it. He was not in that drive the entire time till they got to the 6-yard line. They needed to go, and they were big time third downs, and luckily they were moving the ball there, but they didn't put him in there until the touchdown part. But they could have used him along that whole drive, like you said. I guess it worked out. He caught the touchdown, so maybe they're resting him for that high leverage play. But it would be nice to have those not be sweating it so much. And then we'll have to talk about it here a little bit. I know I'm more relieved than toot my own horn here, but we do have to talk about. I was watching. I came in when the game started. Like, who's the first running back in all week? Hassan Haskins and Kamani Vidal. Everyone was saying Haskins. Some guys were kind of. I went Vidal. I spent a ton of money, more than anybody else. I thought it was gonna be a failure. When I saw him get that first start, it was the first checkbox. I'm like, okay. Doesn't mean he's going to get the next 10 carries, but he got the first carry. And they just kept giving it to him. They actually gave it to him a lot in short yardage situations, and he did okay. Sometimes there were penalties that brought him back, but he had a lot of like 20-yard runs or receptions. He didn't look like a great athlete, but he did quite well, and I was surprised how often they used him, being that they were talking about having pretty much a 50-50. It was, if you can look up the box score there, he had like 18 or 22 attempts, and Hassan Haskins had like 4 or 5.
It was Vidal had 18 carries for $124, and Haskins had 6 carries for 14. So the Vidal was definitely the game plan going in to be the lead back there.
I mean, it's the Dolphins, and I don't know if I can't guarantee. I wouldn't say this week guarantees next week, but that was I don't think anyone was expecting that. I put him as a dart throw, and it came through today.
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks in a row against the Dolphins, so get your running back.
That was the
play.
Next week.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's get out of this game. Let's get to a more exciting game. New England Patriots at the New Orleans Saints. May's magic and Booty's brilliance brings Patriots victory. Patriots 25, Saints 19. Louisiana native Kayshon Boutte caught 2 of Drake May's 3 touchdown passes and added a game-sealing 21-yard catch on 3rd and 11 in the final minutes, helping the Patriots outlast the Saints 25-19. May completed 18 of 26 passes for 261 yards without a turnover, and also connected with Demario Douglas for a 53-yard score as New England won its 3rd straight game. Boutte caught touchdown passes of 25 and 29 yards. Pretty big catches there, with the Patriots converting a 2-point attempt after the second score. Spencer Rattler completed 20 of 26, not bad at all, for 227 yards for New Orleans, but the Saints struggled to reach the end zone with only a 1-yard Taysom Hill touchdown run and 4 Balake Group A field goals. Patriots improved to 4-2, while the Saints fell to 1-5. Get on the waiver and get you some Taysom Hill.
Yeah, this is interesting. It seemed like the Patriots were going to roll them as they had a long touchdown to start pretty early in the game, middle of the first quarter, and then all of a sudden I looked up, it was like 14-12 or something. It was, or I think even I think the Saints took the lead for a little bit there, but Drake May. He's had a perfect passer rating in the first half again. There's another long bomb to Demario Douglas that got called back on what was called a phantom offensive pass interference. I'm not sure how the play broke down. I didn't see it myself, but there's another 61-yard bomb he connected to with Demario Douglas that they called back on a penalty. I'm not sure if that drive ended on another score, so I'm not sure if it cannibalized another stat or not. But they're not using the running game that much. They're, as the Ramondre Stevenson is situational and Travion Henderson is just not being let loose. But I had him rated as my 6th highest quarterback right behind Mahomes, and he's shown out so far to be accurate there, and he's not doing it with his legs as much as I thought. He has just enough to keep you honest, but he's just super efficient.
Oh yeah, for sure. Drake May is also the leading rusher for this game with 28 rushing yards. Ramondre Stevens had 13 carries, and Travion Henderson had 9 carries. But Drake May also had 9 carries. So I don't know if it's the game plan, if it's the offensive line. I didn't see much of the Drake May's runs where they scheduled runs, where they just him scrambling. It's really hard, but they're winning, so you really can't fault them for not, wanting to run the ball. And then Stephon Diggs also had a pretty decent catch, a nice long 14-yard catch to keep them alive in some moments there. So good on them. The Saints just look rough. Chris Olave was the one bright spot for the Saints, but without a touchdown, it's almost it's hard.
Yeah, that's what Olave is doing this year. I think he's leading the league in targets, or one of the top 3. He's just not. He's only got one. I think only one touchdown, maybe. Anyway, he's not being he's not efficient because he's getting 10 targets, 8 catches, but for not a lot of yards. I'll have to say though, a couple things real quick. I don't want to spend too much time here. Obviously, that's the death nail of me talking a long time. I know. Anyway, for the Saints, we've got going into here. We had a little bit of we thought Kamara was banged up. He did play. We also thought even if he was banged up that he was going to get more to 50-50 with Kendra Miller. Was not the case. Kamara had I looked at it at one point, I don't remember it, but at least 60-40, if not even a higher ratio of at least carries, if not, I don't know about snaps, but carries and catches went to Kamara. And the Saints, for as much as they keep losing, they are not like the Jets. They fight hard, and they're in all these games. Honestly, it's probably the way you want to go. Like we were talking about Carolina last year. You want to get that first pick or early pick, but you want to kind of get some good habits. So it's like you get the good habits, except for the final win. They're playing hard for their coach. At least right now, they're just not getting the victories.
Yeah, and as far as the carries go, Kamara had 10 carries and Kendra Miller had 8 carries. But
okay, maybe it was catches. Maybe there's more catches.
Yeah,
then?
Kamara had 5 catches to Kendra Miller's 1. So
okay.
I think combined, it was a bigger split there for Kamara. But with Taysom Hill, if he's going to be in now vulturing touchdowns, and they're not going to be a lot of touchdowns, that's going to be tough for Kamara owners.
Yeah. All right, let's get out of this one.
Okay. Next game we have up on the docket here, the Cleveland Browns at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers shut down Browns, strengthen AFC North grip. Steelers 23, Browns 9. Aaron Rodgers, that's right. Aaron threw for 235 yards and 2 touchdowns without being sacked, leading the Steelers to the 23-9 victory over Cleveland as Pittsburgh extends its regular season home winning streak against the Browns to 22 games. Rodgers completed 21 of 30 passes and threw second half touchdown passes to Connor Haywood and DK Metcalf. A 25-yard score on the first play of the fourth quarter that put the game out of reach. Chris Boswell kicked 3 field goals. You're welcome, Mike. While the defense recorded 6 sacks, led by Jalen Ramsey's 2 takeaways. Dylan Gabriel completed 29 of 52 passes for 221 yards, but Cleveland was held out of the end zone and failed to score more than 17 points for the 11th straight time this season. Pittsburgh improved to 4-1, while Cleveland fell to 1-5, and has not won in Pittsburgh since 2003.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right, so a couple things here. in the first couple of weeks of the season, Pittsburgh was giving up a lot of stats, like to the Jets and Justin Fields. I forget the second opponent they had, and even were they the ones who played against? I don't know. They're giving up a lot of stats, and you're like, that's a team to target. But then we look at the players on that team with T.J. Watt and Highsmith, and you're like, there's no way these guys can be that bad. And Jalen Ramsey, and even I was targeting through week 4, and then or week 3 or 4, and then I realized that we got a fight at the end of this game here. Oh my gosh, what's happening? The Detroit Lions game just ended, and right when the whistle went, they're all fighting. We'll get into that a little bit maybe. Anyway, but their defense is coming around, so I wouldn't go by the stats of what Pittsburgh gives up. I know Cleveland Browns are not a prolific offense, obviously. This is nasty out here. So I wouldn't target Pittsburgh regardless of what their stats say. I think their defense is starting to come around, and this is the first time Kinshawn Junkins got shut down. Let's just say that, and they were just kind of comfortable once they got that 10, 14-point lead. The Steelers just kind of coasted the rest of the way. Dylan Gabriel did not get in a rhythm, was getting sacked, and this, like you said, since 2003, they dominate this series.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge Aaron Rodgers fan, but I don't think anybody's really talking about it or paying attention. But he is Aaron Rodgers. He is MVP. He is, really good future Hall of Famer, Aaron Rodgers. Pittsburgh is 4-1 in a fairly weak division now that Baltimore has not done anything. And Joe Burrow is sidelined. And they're going to make the playoffs, and they're not looking like a team that is worried about anything. They might just be getting better and better just based on their division foes that they have to play twice. It's like, wow, Pittsburgh is going to be sneaky good come playoff time.
Yeah,
or I should say sneaky dangerous come playoff time.
They're just balanced, and they got enough clutch gene, and they don't stress out. It seems like
exactly. So watch out. I hope Aaron doesn't do too much bad there.
What's
okay,
next?
Moving on. Let's see what we got here. Next up, Dallas Cowboys at the Carolina Panthers. Ooh, this was a tough game to watch. Dowdle dominates Dallas in dominant revenge performance. Panthers 30, Cowboys 27. Rico Dowdle went over 200 yards from scrimmage for the second straight week against his former team. The rookie Ryan Fitzgerald kicked a 33-yard field goal as time expired to lift the Panthers to 30-27 victory over Dallas. Dowdle ran for 183 yards on 30 carries and caught 4 passes for 56 yards and a touchdown, giving him 473 scrimmage yards over the past 2 weeks, a franchise record. Bryce Young completed 17 of 25 for 199 and threw 2 of his 3 touchdown passes to rookie, your start of the week, I believe.
King Tet.
McMillan. Young drove the Panthers 71 yards in 15 plays on the final drive, taking more than 6 minutes off the clock, and included a crucial 7-yard completion on 4th and 4 to Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah.
The Panthers improved to 3-3 and are 3-0 at home, while Dallas fell to 2-3-1. And let me say one thing about this game. Dallas's defense, I understand you lost your big piece here, but all you had to do was keep them out of field goal range, and you couldn't do that. That's like a Dolphin thing. The Dolphins' defense is bad, where they can't keep people out of field goal range. Your defense is not that bad. One player didn't make your entire defense great. You guys have good pieces on that team, and you failed. You guys lost the game. Sorry.
This one was one of those games, one of those triumvirate games that was tied at 27 or around there. They were tied at 27 with a few minutes left to go, and I was like, oh my God. I couldn't tell who had the flow of this because it seemed like the running game for Carolina was dominating. Rico Dowdle, not only is he getting the stats, which is obviously amazing, he looks like a man out there. He is running through guys, getting gash runs every play, not just because they're open holes. He's running through people, running over people, big catches, diving over people. But then it was quick strikes back from the Dallas passing game, especially in the second half there. Did George Pickens get really going? Had a couple long plays, a big hurdle on a jumped over player to get down towards the in the red zone there. So he had a huge day. It was kind of like there were really 2 main stars on both sides. I thought Tedero McMillan had a better day when I saw he had a second touchdown. He only had 3 catches for like 20 yards. He did his old Mike Evans, but we gave the Tedero guarantee today, and he got in there twice. So that helped his day, the touchdowns. And and it really came down. Both teams scored at the end there, and they couldn't stop anybody. And like you said, that big clutch fourth down to Hunter Renfrow as a sliding catch on the down the seam there, and it almost looked like after the play. I'm not saying it was a lucky or hard throw, but just a facial expression that Bryce Young made, like, "Hey, I just did that." He's like, I just made a big play. That was awesome. He's like, let's go from here. And a big kick by the clutch kicker there by the Fitzgerald. I couldn't tell you who had the momentum in this game. It just was high scoring, and whoever had the ball last was going to win, it seemed like.
Yeah, and really what it came down to was the lack of rushing from Dallas and the defense. The defense really let them down. So this is how the stats break down here. Total stats. Dallas rushing was 31 yards rushing total, and 261 receiving yards. So what is that? 292. On the other side, Carolina rushed for 216, which is obviously Rico Dowdle majority, and passing 199. So what is that? That is 415 passing yard. Like, if Dallas could just rush the ball, kill some time, and just play a little defense, they would have won this game, and they should have won this game. The Panthers should not be 3-3. Dallas, you're way too good, but it's okay not to like you.
Are the Panthers a sneaky? Well, let's put. I don't say sneaky good rushing defense, but in years past, they've been the team you're targeting, and guys aren't really breaking out against them. Javonte Williams has had a great season. This is his worst game of the year when they could have used some killing the clock there in that fourth quarter. So I'm wondering if Carolina is, I don't say good defense, but being out there the bar was so low, they're being a middle range defense makes them don't target against them anymore. I'm a little maybe the passing game's been doing a little better against them this time because they're scoring more and maybe they're not letting teams run so easily on them that you have to use other parts of your offense to get through that defense.
Yeah, and I guess until somebody can stop Rico Dowdle, they're going to keep this game plan going.
They're going to keep Chuba Hubbard inactive as long as possible until Rico Dowdle breaks down. Then they'll have a fresh guy coming right back in.
There you go.
All right, what's next here?
All right, next up we got the Seattle Seahawks at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jackson Smith and Jigba scorches the Jaguars as Seahawks surge on road. Seahawks 20, Jags 12. Sam Darnold threw for 295 yards with touchdown passes to JSN and Cooper Kupp. I think this was his first touchdown pass of the season, Mr. Cooper Kupp. And Seattle dominated both lines of scrimmage in a 20-12 victory over Jacksonville. Smith and Jigba caught 8 passes for $162, including a 61-yard touchdown reception that gave the Seahawks a 10-6 lead in the second quarter. The Seahawks sacked Trevor Lawrence 7 times.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. Oh, wow.
And hit him 17 times, while Jacksonville was penalized 10 times for 76 yards. Seattle improved to 4-2 and extended their road winning streak to 9 games, while the Jaguars failed to record a takeaway for the first time this season after entering the NFL leading 14. Lawrence completed 27 of 42 for 258 and 2 touchdowns, but Jacksonville fell to 4-2 after winning 3 straight games.
So I didn't watch too much of this game as I was focused some other ones here, but it looked like the game was always kind of close because it was low scoring, and I was like, I haven't checked on that score in a while. I wonder if Jacksonville came back. They literally didn't score for like 35 minutes of this game time. It seemed like the game got locked in at that 20-12 range and just stayed there for a long time. A nice long catch though from Jackson Smith and Jigba was the highlight play of the day, and also Brian Thomas had a nice touchdown down the sideline. And I didn't see it, but you mentioned it. I did hear about it, that there was apparently another 60-yard touchdown to Brian Thomas that got called back due to a lining up on the wrong side of the snap there for Travis Hunter. Maybe if you saw it, maybe you can talk about that a little bit. But the offense, we said this is going to come down to the Jacksonville defense versus the Seattle offense. Jacksonville did okay on defense, and then they held them to 20 points. Their offense did not come to play today. And Sam Darnold does just enough. He can be a big-time player when he needs to, but he can also just do just enough to get these wins here. He's playing quite well. He might be the real deal, at least as a late-stage reclamation project here, not just a one-hit wonder, one-year wonder. And I'm curious here. I actually looked as I saw Kenneth Walker low stats, and I'm like, what's Charbonnet doing? And they literally, the last time I checked, I'm not sure if it was the final, they had the same number of carries, same number of catches, and the same number of yards, and a little bit of different combination there. But they seemed like they shared the workload 50-50 on the dot. Maybe it looked different in terms of playing time, but in terms of carries and catches, they are not anyone who can play right now. That's a two-headed monster. That's not even a monster. It's a two-headed I don't know what you want to call it, two-headed gremlin. Something smaller than a monster. They're not doing anything.
Yeah. As far as Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet go, it was Kenneth Walker starts the game. He's the guy that they're going to, and then Charbonnet works his way in, and then most of the goal line stuff, or most of the 10 yards and in, 5 yards and in is all Charbonnet. So it's pretty predictable at this point now. So they're nobody that you want to put in to start going forward until there is a distinct separation between the two. And you're right, 10 carries for Walker, 12 carries for Charbonnet. Walker had a little bit more yards. They both had one pass. So it's pretty even. But Sam Darnold, man, I thought that Trevor Lawrence was going to be the better quarterback out of the two. Trevor had less yards on more attempts. 27 of 42 with 258, and Sam Darnold was 16 of 27 with 295. I understand that Sam Darnold's got JSN, but Brian Thomas, I didn't see the offsides because I was listening to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I had the Gamecast on in my ear, and I heard it, and I was like, "Oh no, don't say his name." Oh, yep, there's his name. So it's just tough. It's tough. Jacksonville, I thought, was going to do much better this game, but the Seahawks pulled it out, man.
Going into this game, I was saying that I was giving Jacksonville the edge because they were at home, and and Seattle had the long trip. But then I realized after I made that statement, as the weekend went along, Seattle played in Tampa Bay last week. They probably stayed on the East Coast this whole week, I would assume, which takes away a little bit of that travel. I don't know if I didn't look up their travel schedule, but I would say it's unlikely they went back and forth in 3 days span. Not knowing for sure. So that kind of takes away the travel part. The travel part was last week, not this week.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams were pretty inefficient, it sounds like, based on those stats. Or even Sam Darnold wasn't super efficient, but a big play here and there, and no pressure from the other team's offense. I didn't hear Etienne's name once. I didn't see him on the dud or the stud, so it seemed like he was probably just a ho-hum 55 yards or so, give or take.
Not even 12 carries for 27 yards.
Did he have a couple catches then, I guess?
Etienne, 4 catches for 28 yards.
There you go. That's the 55 yards then. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Gotcha.
So
big game for Seattle. I think they're 4-2 now, right?
Yep, 4-2 for both teams.
Yep, there you go. All right.
All right, moving on here. We got the next game up. The Los Angeles Rams at the Baltimore Ravens. Rams rout the Ravens, extend Baltimore's brutal skid. Rams 17, Ravens 3. That's rough. Despite a sloppy start, timely turnovers by the defense lifted the Rams to a 17-3 victory over the Ravens on Sunday at M&T Bank Stadium. As inside linebacker Nate Landman set a franchise record with 17 total tackles. Safety Quinton Lake recorded his first career interception and added a fumble recovery, while Kyron Williams scored a 3-yard rushing touchdown and Matthew Stafford threw an 8-yard touchdown pass to Tyler Higbee. Baltimore was held without a touchdown for the first time in 3 years and fell to 1-5, matching their franchise worst start with their 4th consecutive loss. Cooper Rush was 11 of 19 for 72 yards and an interception before being benched for Tyler Huntley, while Derrick Henry got his century mark, rushed for 122 on 24 carries, but was stopped on 4th and goal at the 1-yard line before halftime. Los Angeles improves to 4-2, while Baltimore drops to 5-1. And I just want to say that Derrick Henry not scoring on a 4th and goal at the 1-yard line pretty much sums up the entire season of the Baltimore Ravens so far. If he doesn't have the heart to just smash his way in from the 1-yard line, that's it right there.
Another part of that equation there is that it was a 4th down where he got stopped, obviously, and he did go backwards. I don't know how much of it was him not getting there. There's a major rush, but they gave Mark Andrews 2 carries before that, and he failed both times. If you're going to give 3 carries inside the 1, give them all to your monster. You know what I mean? Why are you going to a tight end to be sneaky here?
Yeah, they're trying to be fancy because what they're doing is not working.
Yeah. So I had Stafford as a start. He was a dud list here. I didn't consider a couple things. One, how bad the offense is for the Baltimore Ravens that you don't have to try and air it out. But also this is probably the worst weather game. It was pretty windy. You could see the blusteriness out there. I don't know how much that had a real effect there, but I think the bigger effect was also the injury to Puka Nacua, because you can shorten his routes and he can go across the way, so wind's not a big deal. But him missing a good chunk of this game and then being up by the time he did come back in, they didn't need to put any pressure on him. This is a big win for the Rams. Are they 5-1 now?
4-2.
4-2. Even with that win there, and the losses by Seattle won. But anyway, my point was that win gives them a little bit of a cushion that I think they're going to be a little more cautious with Puka Nacua potentially going forward to the next week or two. Not saying that's speculation there. If you're a losing team, you kind of get a little more stressed out. They can afford to let him heal up a little bit and not stress him back. They can afford to play without him there. And with Kyron Williams, you can always game plan around that running game if you needed to, because he's a quality player. They can do that as well. Rams just got out early, coasted, let the wind shut down the game here, and Baltimore is in big-time trouble. This bye could not come at a better time for them. It's going to be a hot 1-5. That's a big hole, man. That's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, it is, especially the way that Pittsburgh is playing. Tyler Higbee, though, matched Devontae Adams with 4 receptions, but he had 40 yards and Devontae had 39 yards. But Tyler Higbee got the touchdown. So if Puka misses some times, Tyler Higbee might be a what-the-heck flex option if he got a good defensive matchup for the Rams.
All right. Do we have any more games?
Yeah, we got a couple more here. Let's go. We got Tennessee Titans at the Las Vegas Raiders. This is White and defense dominate as Raiders break losing streak. Geno Smith passed for 174 yards and a touchdown, and Devin White led a suffocating Raiders defense as Las Vegas defeated the Tennessee Titans 20-10. The Raiders ended a 4-game skid and held the Titans scoreless in the first half while pursuing Cam Ward consistently with 5 sacks, including 2 by Max Crosby. White led the team with 9 tackles, a sack, and 2 takeaways, including a forced fumble that Tyree Wilson recovers at the Tennessee 2-yard line, setting up the Raiders touchdown. Ashton Genty rushed for 75 yards and a touchdown on a 3.3 yards per play average while Ward completed 26 of 38 passes for 222 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Las Vegas improved to 2-4, while Tennessee fell to 1-5 and missed the opportunity to win consecutive games for the first time since November.
Hey guys, sorry we had a little technical difficulty, so I'm going to finish this up on my own here. Thank you for Bernard for joining me earlier, but we're going to finish up the Tennessee game here. All right, there's not much to talk about other than what Bernie already mentioned, is that this game was atrocious in terms of offense for both teams. Geno Smith was awful, but the defense was from the Raiders were able to dominate Cam Ward, as one of the first plays was a strip fumble sack that got the Vegas Raiders inside the 5-yard line for their first score, and then never looked back. I think they were up 17-zip, give or take, going through most of this game. 10 late points came through for the Titans towards the end of the game in garbage time, but it was never in doubt as Max Crosby got to the backfield over and over and over again, putting the pressure on Cam Ward, and he could not deliver. Calvin Ridley, we mentioned earlier in the news here, left the game with a hamstring injury, did not return. So this game is not much to talk about. All right, our next game on the docket is the Cincinnati Bengals up against the Green Bay Packers. This was pretty dominating performance by the Green Bay Packers, especially early as they were moving the ball up and down the field, and Cincinnati was not doing too much there. I will give a little bit of credit to Joe Flacco. He wasn't moving the ball at all in the first 3 quarters, but he did not turn the ball over, and having those limiting their mistakes in terms of turnovers kept them a chance to come back here. They actually scored a couple late touchdowns, got it within a score, got it within, within 6 points. They got within 6 points in the fourth quarter, but their defense could not stop the Green Bay Packers, as Josh Jacobs was a stud, especially in that second half, scoring 2 second-half touchdowns. Matthew Golden had a couple big catches on third down. Again, it was just a matter of not being able to stop the Green Bay Packers once they did catch up, and that was it for that. Green Bay Packers ended up winning this game by 11 points, I believe, was the final. Yes. something like that, give or take. There was an interesting moment here where the Cincinnati Bengals went for a 67-yard field goal at the end of the first half, and McPherson actually made the kick, but it did not count as LaFleur called a timeout right before the snap was called here. So unfortunately, that did not count. It would have been a record-breaking kick for McPherson as he made the 67-yard practice kick, but missed it when it counted here as it was well short on the second attempt. All right, on to our next game here. Kind of exciting game here with a lot of injuries. We had the 49ers up against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Both teams are missing receivers in this game. No Godwin, no Mike Evans, no Pearsall, and of course no Kittle, of course, as well. Brock Purdy was also out, so Mac Jones got the start. Kept going to his favorite target in Kendrick Bourne as he was the only receiver to do anything. Christian McCaffrey did get in the end zone, this time as a rushing touchdown, his first rushing touchdown of the year, and we mentioned him on that stud list. Kendrick Bourne just missed being a stud at 16-plus points. Emeka Egbuka left this game early with a hamstring injury, and that was another lost receiver for the Tampa Bay Bucks. But Baker Mayfield does his magic, found some rookies out there. It was Kez Johnson, got a big diving touchdown towards the end of the game to put this one away. Rashad White had a decent game here with a touchdown. He got 16-plus fantasy points and a mix of running and passing. But it was all Baker Mayfield with some huge third down plays, especially a big 3rd and 14 when the game was still in the balance as he broke off tackles, shrugging off defenders, stiff-arming other guys, getting a huge block downfield by K-Dot, and that let him extend the ball past the first down marker and kept that drive going. Baker Mayfield is now the front runner potentially for the MVP as they are now 4-2, I believe, or are they 5-1? They're 5-1, I think, actually, are the Tampa Bay Bucks. So a big game for them, and both these teams are injury ravaged here, including on the defensive side for the San Francisco 49ers, as Fred Warner had a devastating ankle injury, and he's going to be out for the year. So San Francisco has now lost Nick Bosa. They've lost Fred Warner. They've been without Pearsall, Kittle, Ayuk, and Brock Purdy. Let's see if they can get some of these guys back in the near future. All right, guys, with that being said, let's get into some of our waiver wire targets. There aren't very good ones this week, I'm not going to lie, as our quarterbacks have all been taken up, and there's enough injuries to spread around. But I'm going to go with J.J. McCarthy as a potential pickup here. He was probably dropped going into their bye week this week. They're playing against the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 7. On paper, you say not a good matchup, but we saw what Jackson Dart did, and I consider J.J. McCarthy similar to Jackson Dart as a running quarterback with a lot of young guy, a lot of energy here, and a better receiver in Justin Jefferson. So not a break the bank guy, but an emergency play, J.J. McCarthy. Dylan Gabriel's probably out there. He hasn't done too much in terms of fantasy stats, but the Browns are playing the Miami defense next week, and we've seen what offenses can do against the Miami defense. In a pinch, Dylan Gabriel might be the only time you can put him in your lineup. Jacoby Brissett is also out there. Not sure if he's going to get the start next week. There's been conflicting reports on the severity of the injury for Kyler Murray. And actually, their offense looked a little more balanced today, or a little better. Maybe not balanced. They definitely were better in the passing game than the running game. But they're playing Green Bay. So it's going to be a tough matchup. But we saw what Flacco ended up doing in garbage time and comeback mode. Brissett might have that ability as well. In terms of running backs out there, there's no one obvious to pick up. We're just aiming for running backs that are backups, handcuffs with all these mini injuries here, and these backups have been showing out. Rashad White came in 2 consecutive games over scoring high points. He had 20 points last week, 16 points this week. Rico Dowdle had 30 points back-to-back weeks. Kamani Vidal coming in for Amari Hampton had a strong week this week, as well as Michael Carter last week. So if you can get a backup running back for any team, put him on the back of your bench. You never know what's going to happen. Like I said, in our league here, we have a 14-team league, but Rico Dowdle's picked up 2 weeks prior to him even getting onto the field in the starting capacity. Jadon Blue was drafted and not let go. So players like that have been on people's rosters in our league, so go for it. The only guy I can think of here is someone like Raheem Mostert, but they do not have a good matchup next week. They're on bye either next week or the week after that. So I'm not looking to hold on to most for 3 weeks. But Sean Tucker might be the next man up, as we're not sure the severity and how long Bucky Irving might be out for still. So Sean Tucker is a back of the bench hold on to just to see what happens, as he might get some play in the next 2 weeks We're not picking up anybody for next week. We're picking up people for potential 2 weeks out. So look at those schedules 2, 3, 4 weeks out. Pick the handcuff with the best block of games between those 2 and 4 weeks and hold on to them unless there's an obvious pickup in the meantime. In terms of receivers, the only guy I have on this list here is Dallas Goedert. He is the leading receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. Not only is he getting the yards and the touchdowns, these touchdowns are contrived, game planned, shovel passes, nifty, tricky plays for Dallas Goedert. He's been on our waiver wire the entire season, and he's been scoring 15 points or more every single week. Keep that in mind. I do have a few kickers here with some decent matchups next week if you are in a pinch. We've got Ryan Fitzgerald, rookie kicker for the Carolina Panthers, up against the New York Jets. We would assume that game wouldn't run away with it in either direction, so field goals will be at a premium here, as there's not going to be a lot of I need to go for it on 4th down to keep us close. In that same vein, we got Nick Folk in that same game, the Jets versus the Carolina Panthers. Again, this one could be one of those 21-17 games, hopefully more like 19-16 games with a bunch of field goals, so keep that one in mind. And Andy Borregales, another rookie for the New England Patriots, up against the Tennessee Titans. Another game that could be, I don't want to say low scoring in a good way, but a game that won't get away, where 3 points are going to be very valuable to keep up there. All right, now for some defenses we can look at here. We got the Chicago Bears up against the New Orleans Saints next week. New Orleans is doing pretty good at controlling the game here, not giving up a lot of turnovers. However, there's always a chance with Spencer Rattler to have some mistakes. Miami, again, their defense isn't great, but going against Dylan Gabriel, this is kind of a pick 'em which way you think it's going to go. Miami defense has a chance to get sacks. Gabriel will sack 6 times today. Can Miami get 3 or 4 sacks next week? Let's see. And Carolina's defense, again, a little better than we think potentially, but they're playing against the New York Jets. We just saw Justin Fields get sacked 9 times. Can we get a piece of that for the Carolina defense? A very decent streaming defense, low-cost emergency play. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for sticking with us. I know we went through a lot of these games. I apologize for my Jets rant that got this going along here. Oh, before we leave, I actually forgot to mention we just had the ending of the game of Detroit versus Kansas City. I don't have all the stats up. I'm going to go by just what I saw in the corner of my eye here. We had the game was close early, but overall the pressure by the defensive line from Kansas City turned the tide on this game in terms of momentum, and Kansas City won this game by 2 scores, if not 3. It was about that 14 to 17 point range. They won this game. I saw Hollywood Brown. I believe he scored 2 touchdowns. Xavier Worthy got in the end zone. Travis Kelce did not get in the end zone, but he had several catches over the middle. A lot of those 8-yard catches. I don't know what his final stats were. I'm going to guess 6 catches for 78 yards, something like that. You can, of course, double check me and call me out if I'm wrong. Pacheco had a couple decent runs to ice this game. And at the end, there was some bad blood. A fight kind of broke out as there was some congratulations going on, and one player from the Detroit Lions branch, a defensive back, did not like the high fives coming from the opponent, and instead of a high five, shot the face right to the face mask of, I think, Hollywood Brown, or it might have been Juju Smith-Schuster, and then both teams got into it. All right, guys, once again, thank you for staying with us all the way through to the end on this one. I'd like to thank you for watching and or listening another episode of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. You can find us on your favorite podcasting platforms. Just search Wingman the League, and we'll come to the top of your search. While you're there, guys, leave a comment, rate us 5 stars, and let us know what we can do for you. Also, if you want to see our beautiful faces, our glitching graphics, and our spooky bar setting, you can go to our YouTube channel at wingmanfantasyfootball.com/YouTube, or you can go to youtube.com/@wingmanfantasyfootball. When you head over there, guys, do me the favor, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment and let us know which games you want us to preview for week number 7 and our week 7 preview. All right, guys, thank you so very much. With that being said, may your glasses be full, your mug stay frosty, and we will see you next time.